Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 3. Our group consists of 3 students, and the first is Dea Rizqy Ramadhani, the second is Hafiz Bagas Riantama, and the last is Widodo Aji Pradana. Okay, in here will be explain about grammatical equivalence in translation. And the first material is the difference of grammatical equivalence across language. Finding the same grammar in this word is very difficult because there are some languages which have almost no similar grammar category with other countries. Since every language has its own grammatical system, it may lead to the information content of the executed message. This change may require translator and add or omit information that is not expressed in the source text. This can occur when the target language lack of particular grammatical device to express the information in the source text. From Baker 2011, sometimes we don't omit information, but state or explain according to the structure of the grammar from the target language. Therefore, the lack of grammatical equivalence between languages can lead to grammatical issues in translation. In English grammar, Indonesia has some grammatical expressions do not include. Therefore, we must find equivalent to obtain the appropriate significance. Baker mentioned 5 types of grammar that may cause translator difficulty due to the lack of grammatical structure in the target language. Those is number, and the second is gender, and the third is person, the fourth is tense, and the fifth is voice. Okay, now I will to explain about the category of grammatical structure. The first is number. Not all language have a grammatical category of number, and thus that do not necessarily view accountability in the same term. When talking about the grammatical equivalence of numbers, is tell about the plural and singular numbers. The concept will be discovered. English and Indonesian have this concept, that is numbers, but of course they have very different rules. Different rules between them might cause translation problem. Sometimes the singular noun in English is translated into plural noun in Indonesian, and vice versa in order to obtain the equivalent and the acceptable form in the target language. Can be done from a long time. It does not change the information of the method implied in the sentence. It should be it is done according to the rules of the two languages. The following sentence is the following example change the concept of plural to singular in the target language will cause information. For example, is the boy is playing football. That is singular. And the second is the boys are playing football. That is plural. The difference is boy have a affixes of s, and the second sentence is boys have a affixes of s. And the second category is gender. Gender is a grammatical distinction according to which a noun or pronoun is classified as either masculine or feminine in some language. From Baker 2011. Language is related to social culture. Learning language means learning indirect culture. Transform to the source language into the target language. It involves transforming to the source culture into the target language culture. So do the target language that make the transition acceptable. English and Bahasa Indonesia has a different culture, which sometimes cause problem in the translation process. For the example is, this man is a football player from the Spain. The word man is translated into the Bahasa Indonesia is a pria. The word pria is indeed defined as masculine in Bahasa Indonesia. Okay, and the third category is a person. The category of person relates to the notion of participle rules. In the most language, participle rules are systematically defined through a closed system of the pronoun which may be organized along a variety of dimensions. Becker to 90 and 90, 19 and 92, part page 95. English as the source language has three types of pronouns with person reference, namely the personal pronouns, reflexive pronouns, and the passive pronouns. Pronouns have a distinct of the person, the first person, and the second person, and the third person, and the adjective forms, where a reflective pronouns replace a co-referential noun phrase. And the example is a play football. I play football. That is a first person. And you play football. That is second person. And he play football is the third person. In Bahasa Indonesia, however, has only one type of pronoun with person reference, which is the personal person pronoun. This kind of the pronoun also has distinct of the first person. And the fourth category of the grammatically structure is tense. The word tense stands for a verb from a series of verb forms used to express a time relation. Tense may indicate whether an action, activity, or state is in the past, present, or the future. Hornby, 19 and 75. Note that English verbs have only two simple tenses, which are called the simple present and the simple past, but also many components which are made by combining two or more verb forms. That is have the past, present, and the future. And the example is the past in the simple present is I wrote poetry books. In the present is I write poetry books. In the future is I will write poetry books. Poetry books. What makes the English tense complicated is the fact that the term present, past, and the future within this tense do not actually refer to the present time, past time, and future time. In Bahasa Indonesia, on the other hand, there are no change of the verb forms in the representing the tense category. Bahasa Indonesia does not indicate the category of the tense morphologically, but rather lexically by adding a particular word that indicates the tense. Words which are usually used to express tense in Bahasa Indonesia are sudah or telah to express the idea of the past tense. And the word sedang is to indicate present tense. And the word akan is represent to the future tense. And the last starter in grammatical category is that voice. Frank 1972 state that voice is in English grammar refers to the active and the passive use of a verb. He also notes that the English people use the active voice more than the passive voice, since they prefer to make a direct statement of an action. The passive voice is used when the greater emphasis is to be placed on the event than on the actor, or when the do of an action is unimportant or is a noun. Example, in the verb in the active voice, Lee ate the pie. We play hopscotch. Verb in the passive voice is the pies were eaten by Lee. And the second, hopscotch is played by us. In Bahasa Indonesia, however, there are 4 types of passive sentence as quoted by Darjo Widodo in Purwo 1986. Those are the passive sentence with example intention are commonly marked by use of prefix "d". The second is the passive sentence which express unintentional act, commonly marked by the use of prefix "ter". And the third, the adversative passive sentence that commonly marked by the use of affix "ke" and "an" in the sentence. And the fourth, the passive sentence formed by use of "ki" and meaning that "d" plus verb. Okay, that all is the grammatically category. Thank you.
Definition of grammatical problem. If the structure of SL and TL are the same, the translation will be easier to translate SL text into TL structurally. The grammatical characteristics of Indonesian and English are quite different. Number 1. Change the clarity of meaning. Through this strategy, the meaning in TL becomes more explicit or more implicit. In the explanation, the translator explicitly adds components in the TL. On the other hand, implicitly retains certain elements expressed in TL and makes them implicit. The target reader understands the meaning from the context. Number 2. Addition and subtraction of information. Contrary to addition of the structure strategy, the addition of this information was complete due to consideration of the clarity of the meaning. Here, the translator includes other information and the translate text because he believes that the reader really needs it. Number 3. Change interpersonal relationship. The third pragmatic strategy is to change interpersonal relationship. The relationship between the author and the reader can be changed by changing the level of form, the degree of reader participation, and the choice of technical terms. Number 4. Problem in category number. Not all languages have the grammatical category of numbers. This distinction must be expressed morphologically by adding a suffix to the noun. Some languages prefer to express the same notion lexically. Number 5, problem in category gender. Gender is a grammatical distinction according to which a noun or pronoun is classified as either masculine or feminine in some language. English and Bahasa Indonesia have different culture that sometimes creates problem in translation. Number 6, problem in category person. The English third singular is divided into two groups. The difference is based on gender reference. He is male and she is female. Only 1/3 of dia in Indonesian is dia. The translation includes this part, eliminating some information related to gender distinction. His and her are possessive adjectives of third singular pronoun. Bahasa Indonesia has only dia to translate them. Number 7, problem in category of tense. There are many changes in the tenses and aspects of English. Since the table does not exist, some of them are difficult to reflect in Indonesian. If it is not translated in the correct format. There are many changes in the tenses and aspects of English. Since the table does not exist, some of them are difficult to reflect in Indonesian. The latest one is problem in voice. Active and passive use has its own functions. For example, the main function of the passive form is to avoid specifying the subject and to give people an objective impression. If you convert active translation to passive translation without changing the against location or function, and vice versa, to tend to change the message, such as what happened in following sentence. Example, of changing the clarity of meaning. You are the one who's been pushing me to get back on the horse. The TL, kau yang menyuruhku berkencan lagi. The translator uses explanatory techniques to translate to get back on the horse in the above speech. The translator clarifies the term to get back on the horse to become the true meaning of berkencan lagi. Example of addition and subtraction of information. SL. But what about Angel? I asked my best friend. Did she get the necklace? TL. Tetapi bagaimana si Dora? Dia sudah terima kalung itu. In the example, a complete clause is added to make the TL text smoother. The reduction of information is reflected in the deletion of word of parts in SL text in the TL text. Example of change interpersonal relationship. SL. This meeting will discuss the electoral system in Indonesia. TL. Kita akan membahas sistem pemilu di Indonesia dalam pertemuan ini. In the example above, the relationship between the writer and the reader in the TL text feel distant or impersonal by using the word kita. Example of problem in category number. 2 books means 2 buku. Some books means beberapa buku, bukan beberapa buku-buku. Example of problem in category gender. I see a beautiful woman in your house. The word woman is translated into perempuan in Indonesia. The word perempuan is indeed defined as feminine in bahasa Indonesia. Example of problem in category person. His and her are possessive adjectives of third singular pronoun, which his is from he and her is from she. Bahasa Indonesia has only dia to translate them. Example of problem in category of tense. The basic needs assistance from government has been considered complete for a population which over than 5,000 peoples. Bantuan sembako dari pemerintah dinilai sudah cukup untuk penduduk yang lebih dari 5.000 jiwa. Example of problem in voice. The AH group manager fell when he realized the value of stock company fell to the lowest point in history. The L manager AH Group itu jatuh ke lantai ketika menyadari bahwa nilai saham perusahaan jatuh ke titik terendah sepanjang sejarahnya. The word fell has the first form fall. It can be active or passive sentence with the manager of the bank as the agent or the affected entity.
My name is Hafiz Bagas Riantama. My student ID number is 19320064. And here I want to explain about the last material. It is lexical versus grammatical category. So what is lexical meaning? Basically, lexical meaning refers to the meaning of a word as it appears in a dictionary, and it also known as semantic meaning, denotative meaning, and central meaning. A dictionary provides lexical information, and it tells us what the exactly word means. For example, the word cat, and not all there is to know about cats. And then the next is grammatical meaning. The grammar system in every language may affect the result in the information content of the message which carried out. This problem happens when the grammar system in one language is not as much as the other language. The translator may change the structure of the sentence in the information to achieve a good meaning from the source language to the target language. For example, in Indonesian as a target language, there are grammatical expressions that don't exist. In English, for example, we have some books, and translated into Indonesian, it is beberapa buku, not beberapa buku-buku. So we have to find the equivalence of the meaning from the information based on the grammatical expressions that exist in the target language. Lexical words supply meaning to a sentence, whereas grammatical words relate the lexical words to one another. So the difference between lexical words and grammatical words is straightforward. Lexical meaning is dominant in content words, whereas grammatical meaning is dominant in function words. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.